Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, to another in our series, In the Light of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be on each and every one of you. In this segment of our program, dear viewers, we'll be looking at some questions. Some of them are a bit long. All of them are local questions. The first of which comes from Raja in Dubai. He writes, Dear Dr. Bilal, I would like to thank you for your program. We've benefited from it greatly. There is some problem which has developed in our area in India, and I would like you to give us some clarity on it. A scholar in our town in India said that there is nowhere in the Quran does it say we should pray 5 times a day. That only 3 times are mentioned. And he went on to show us the verses in which 3 times were mentioned. Similarly, he also said that the aura, or the private parts, what represents the private parts of men, is not mentioned in the Quran. What are your views on these 2 issues? Could you please clarify for us? Assalamu alaikum. Okay, Brother Raja. The first point, 5 times daily prayer. There are 2 ways of answering this. One way, we can say, yes, it is mentioned in the Quran. How is it mentioned in the Quran? He couldn't find any verse. No one will be able to find a particular verse and say, here, mentions it in the Quran. But we can say, yes, it's mentioned in the Quran, the way Abdullah bin Mas'ud answered the same issue, or a similar issue, which was raised to him by a woman, when he was explaining to people that the plucking of eyebrows is forbidden, and the wearing of false hair is forbidden. When he clarified this, the woman came to him saying, how can you forbid these things when it is not anywhere in the Quran? She said, I've read the Quran from cover to cover a number of times, and I've not found this prohibition anywhere in the Quran. He said, didn't you read the verse in which Allah said, مَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا? Whatever the messenger instructs you, take it. Whatever he has forbidden you, leave it. Yes, this verse means that yes, 5 times daily prayer is prescribed in the Quran, indirectly through this verse. Practically speaking, yes, you will not be able to find a verse in the Quran which identifies the 5 positions, specific times, although you can combine a variety of different verses and create and establish 5 times if you wish. But the verses may also be referring to tahajjud as opposed to the late night prayer. There are different interpretations. However, the instructions of Allah, where Allah says, for example, in the Quran, مَنْ أَطَاعَ الرَّسُولِ فَقَدْ مَنْ يُطِعِ الرَّسُولِ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهِ. Whoever obeys the messenger has obeyed Allah. It's telling us clearly that if the Prophet ﷺ has instructed us with regards to 5 times daily prayer, then it's the same as Allah instructing us. Allah said, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. He doesn't speak from his own desires. So, we have to utilize the Quran in our understanding of the religion. We can't just go to the verse of the Quran and say, well, okay, this is what we understand of the Quran, this is what it is. When Allah said in the Quran, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الذِّكْرَ لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ مَا نُزِّلَ إِلَيْهِمْ, that we have revealed to you, Muhammad, the dhikr, the remembrance, the Quran, in order that you clarify to the people what has been revealed for them. What does this mean? If every single detail of the Sharia, of Islamic law, was mentioned in the Quran, then we would have something like the size of, the Encyclopedia Britannica, some 36 or 38 volumes, a massive, text which nobody could carry around anywhere. Allah in the Quran gave us what they call the headings, the basic principles, the concepts. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, in his daily life, he clarified the details for us, how to apply these concepts. So we cannot separate the Quran from the Sunnah. That is the way of the Prophet. May God's peace and blessing be upon him. How he clarified the meanings of the Quran for us. So, 5 times daily prayer were prescribed by the Prophet, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, in the Sunnah. He clarified that it was revealed to him, and the times the prayer is supposed to take place, and how the prayer should be done, and also even the how the preparation for prayer, ablution, etc., should be done. Because this same person who claims, okay, it's not there, how to pray, when the times of prayer, the 5 times prayer, so he found 3, because there's one verse which mentions the morning, the afternoon, and the night. Okay, there are 3 mentioned there. So he says, okay, we only need to pray these 3 times. But we say to him, it is also not mentioned in the Quran how to pray. Oh yeah, there is mentioning of bowing and prostration, but exactly how and exactly when to say Allahu Akbar in the beginning and all the other different things, these are not mentioned in the Quran also. So then you're saying you're going to pray only these 3 times, but where did you learn how to pray? You're going to say what? Oh, I took it from the Sunnah. Well, you're going to take the 5 times from the Sunnah also. The same way you're obliged to pray in a format, unless you're going to make up your own prayer now, because it says bowing and prostrating. So you stand as whenever you wish to stand, and bow and prostrate however you wish, in any direction you want, whatever. And you make up what you will do then is you make up your own religion. You'll not be following the religion of Islam anymore. So, the 5 times daily prayer are indirectly prescribed by the Quran, when Allah tells us to take whatever the Prophet has given us and avoid whatever is prohibited. And without the prophetic clarification, there is virtually nothing of Islam that we could do. The second point, the awra, or private parts of men, not mentioned in the Quran, though it's well known between the navel and the knee, this is generally agreed upon by the scholars of Islam. It was handed down from the understanding and the practice of the companions of the Prophet. May God's peace and blessing be upon him. And in fact, there are no authentic narrations to actually specify. We know that those that mention navel and knee, etc., are actually not authentic. But the scholars are unanimous from the earliest generations that it is between the navel and the knee. We go according to that. Because otherwise, if you're going to say, okay, it's not mentioned at all in the Quran, we have no basis, nothing to depend on, then a man may walk the streets naked. As you can find in India, there are some sects amongst the Hindus that believe that you should not be wearing clothing at all. So both the men and the women live in the wild, or live in their areas naked, and they come into town occasionally, the main cities occasionally, they walk down the streets stark naked, and the government recognizes them because this is their belief, the belief of their sect of Hinduism. So this is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. If you want to deny the awra from the Quran, that it is from the instruction of the Prophet ﷺ through his companions to us, then you will then promote complete nakedness for men, which is ludicrous. So, Raja, I would suggest to you that you advise the individual, as Abdullah ibn Mas'ud advised the woman who came to him, denying certain prohibitions of the Prophet ﷺ, that these were in fact prohibitions of Allah mentioned indirectly in the Quran. Similarly, the awra is known from the scholars of Islam. The second letter we have, which is from Dubai, Umar Farouk, he writes, Dear Dr. Bilal, Assalamu alaikum. I'm one of your regular program viewers, which has increased my spiritual knowledge of Islam, alhamdulillah. But I'm a little confused about one verse in chapter 3, verse 103, concerning the last day. Can you enlighten about it, please? On the day when some faces will be lit up with white, and some faces will be gloomy, black, to those whose faces will be black will be said, did you